Welcome back to our character creation tutorial. In the last video, we imported a Genesis 3 model from DAZ Studio to Unity, and we compared Genesis 2 and Genesis 3 models. In this video, we will look at importing character morphs from DAZ Studio into Unity as Blendshapes. Let's get started. I opened our Genesis 2 character model in DAZ Studio. The first thing we have to do is find a morph that we would like to export. Let's have a look over here in our hierarchy, and we have the Genesis 2 male selected. So let's find something that applies to our character in total instead of just to a single item such as the hair or the shoes. Let's type in youth, and I have a youth morph here. Now this is paid content, so you might not have this kind of morph there, and you would have to find a morph that comes with the base shape of the Genesis 2 or Genesis 3 model. But for the purpose of this video, to show you sort of what's possible with those morphs, we will just simply select this youth morph, and you can see we can really change our appearance of the character from a small child all the way to an adult. Let's settle for a value of 50, somewhere in between. Okay. Now, what we could do is we could simply export this character as it is into Unity, and our character would look like this. However, it is much nicer if we actually have this slider for our youth value or our morph value in Unity so that we can make changes on the fly. How do we do that? Well, first of all, we select the properties of this morph by clicking on this small icon here and selecting parameter settings. Here, all we need is the name of the morph. We simply copy the name. In this case, it is a very easy name. It's identical to the name that's here in the inspector. Sometimes these are much more complicated. We copy this name, and we go into our export settings. Simply overwrite our character, but you can also create a separate character if you like. And over here, I already have morphs selected, but you basically have to make sure morphs is checked here, and we edit our morph rules. Now, I already have a whole range of morphs here that I usually use with my characters. This is anything from facial expressions to eyes being open or closed, hands being fists, and so on. I also have the youth morph already here. I'm just going to delete it and show you how to set it up. Simply click on Add. Double click on its name, you paste the name in as it was in the settings that we just copied, and for action you simply select Export. Now you have the option to import and export CSV rules, and that is very handy because the name of these different morphs is different sometimes between Genesis 2 and Genesis 3, and maybe you have different projects where different morphs are important for you, so you can simply import and export a set of these rules instead of typing them up and copying them in all the time. So let's click Accept. And with all of these settings as they were before and only the morphs now added, we can simply click Accept and export our character to Unity. Okay, the export is finished, and we don't really see any changes right now except from a couple of warnings here. Let's zoom in and have a look. First of all, we see that something happened to the eyes. The glasses are gone. And when looking at the object, our hair is split into 3 parts again. So it was simply too big. Okay, we can fix that in a little bit. Let's look for our morphs. Where do we find them? Well, we simply click on the Genesis 2 male mesh, and under Skinned Mesh Renderer, we see a tab called Blendshapes here. In this dropdown, we will find all the blend shapes that were exported. I already told you I have a few set up, but at the very top, we have our youth morph. Let's put in the 50 that we had set in DAZ Studio, and we can see the character actually changes its appearance to a child. Perfect. Now, we can see that the clothing does not follow the character. However, each of these clothing items also has the same properties. It also has a skinned mesh renderer, blend shapes, and we can simply put 50 into each of these items. And as you can see, the items adjust nicely to the body shape. Wonderful. Now, the glasses already moved as well. However, sometimes the glasses will be somewhere in limbo, stuck up here with the hair, for example. The good thing about the glasses is you can simply move them with your Unity transform tools. So you can move them around, you can resize them, and so on to make sure that they fit nicely on the head. Dealing with the hair, we have a problem. First of all, it is split into 3 meshes again, and secondly, there is no Blendshapes imported for our hair. Now let's go and fix that. Let's go back into DAZ Studio, and the reason why the morph was not exported is because the hair object is not parented to our base mesh. So let's select the hair and go to Edit, Object, and Change Parent. Here we have a long list of all the different bones in our object, and we simply select Genesis 2 male as the new parent of our hair. We keep parent in place selected and press accept. So now when we select Genesis 2 male, we see that the hair is a child object of the base mesh. Fantastic. Now, one other thing to do every time you open a new an existing model in DAZ Studio is you have to start the Decimator at least once in order to get the mesh back to its simplicity that you set in the first place. So let's have Genesis 2 male selected, and let's click Prepare to Decimate. And already you can see there's quite a difference in the complexity of the mesh. And you have all the settings that we previously selected, so we can simply click Done. And you see the shirt has some issues here, so let's select the shirt. Get rid of our filter for youth. And let's go down to Enable Smoothing, and let's disable that. And already you can see that problem is fixed as well. So when we now re-export our character, we should see that it is to the complexity that we set in the first place. And it was simply me reopening the file in DAZ Studio that got rid of all those settings. Let's re-export. Let's change this. This sometimes jumps back to 2012 binary. Let's set that back, and we leave everything else as it was. Click Accept, and re-export. Okay, that was quick. And already you can see that our hair is now only one shape, which means our decimation was successful, and our character is back to normal. The other good thing is that now our hair also has these blend shapes attached to them, so that we can go at the very top, which is our youth morph, set it to 50, and all of a sudden, we have a child character in Unity. And not only that, but we can set these values to anything we like, and change these things on the fly. You need to do this for all the different items individually, and as I mentioned before, maybe we have some issues with the glasses, but that's not a problem. We simply select the glasses in the hierarchy here and move them down. Now this will require a little bit of fiddling, and we also have to change its size a little bit to make sure that it really fits well on the head, but that's an easy fix. Altogether though, our character looks fantastic, and we have a lot of control over the morph. And since there's hundreds of morphs available in DAZ Studio, if you purchase them, of course, that means we have a lot of control over the character. Now just imagine providing your player a character creator with a lot of different options about the weight, the shape, the gender, or any other aspect of your character, and you really have a very dynamic character creation system just with those blend shapes that we can export from DAZ Studio into Unity. That is a fantastic feature, and definitely one of the strong key aspects of DAZ Studio for creating characters. That's the end of this video, and I will talk about other character creation tools in the next few videos. Thanks for watching.